And we are ready to get started. So again, welcome to our virtual convening for November. We are again combining the expert network with STEM Synergy and the longstanding Indiana STEM ecosystem membership for another convening. And just as a reminder, this is really about your needs and hearing from you all and collaborating, learning about what you all are doing, learning about what's going on, of course, with STEM Synergy, but then also finding new interesting ways to collaborate and to leverage one another for our STEM work across the state in whatever way we see as appropriate and needed as needs from the field, both from a K-12 perspective, but also we have a lot of post-secondary partners, community partners, and business industry partners that sit on this membership group. And we'd love to collaborate with all of those entities across the gamut. So we're not just talking K-12 space, we're also talking post-secondary within the adult education world, as well as our community partners and business partners as well. So we want to hear from you about what opportunities you have both have had with the 2022 wrapping up, and then what you're looking forward to in 2023 as well. So today's going to be a pretty quick agenda. We are going to have some time for some breakouts, hopefully. And as of right now, we have a smaller audience, so we may not even do breakouts. We may just stick together in one group. And then, we can, if additional people join, then we can do a breakout if necessary. But today we're going to do just a brief welcome and introduction for all of those that are on the live call. Then I'll provide you with some, I will provide you with a few updates as well, and do a little breakout, even if we stay in one group, have some discussion specific to some priorities and some focus areas that we will be moving this work forward with. And then we'll do an open share for any other things that you want to talk about that are going on in your organizations, whether they're yet to come up in December, or it's maybe something that you're looking out to the future for 2023 that you want to make sure that we're all aware of and give a shout out to, so that people can share that information, et cetera. So we'll do a little bit of that as well. And then we have a few next steps. And I'm going to apologize right off the get-go because I finally replaced my MacBook, and that was from 2014. And I have just now switched over to an iPad, and I am still learning it. I just got it. And so thank you, Tracy. I see that you can see my Zoom panel on the left as well. I'm learning on what I can and cannot do in this platform versus what I could do in my MacBook. So for now, just for ease of use, I'm going to maintain just sharing my entire screen. So you're seeing a smaller version of the slides, and then you're going to see whatever it is that I'm doing on the left-hand side. Like right now, I'm looking at the chat in Zoom. Just because, like I said, I'm learning this new device a little bit. The second thing that I have to apologize about is happens sometimes when you have 4 kiddos. I had a little bit of a transportation issue, and so I am actually going to be taking this on the road here in about 10 or 15 minutes and taking my device with me while my one of my teenage drivers with a permit drives me to pick up another child. So I will be transitioning this into my vehicle. We'll still continue the conversation and move this forward, but I just wanted to give you a little heads up in case. I'll make sure to shut my camera off during that time so I don't make anybody seasick. But I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that little transition that I unfortunately have to do. But you know what? You roll with the punches, and that's what happens when you have kiddos and something last minute pops up with sports. So that will be our agenda today. And those are my 2 kind of upfront apologies and caveats as we move forward. So quickly, I'd like to go through and just kind of introduce everyone. I think most of the people on the call have been on the call before, but I wanted to give a few moments just for each one of you to introduce yourself, let us know who you are, what organization you're with, or school or entity you are with and representing, what your role is, and if you want to say anything else specific to what it is that you do as it relates to STEM, feel free to add that as well. And then also, when I share the slides, there will be a link that will take you to the master spreadsheet of all of the members. And I'm going to attempt to click on that and see if it does what I need it to do here. So this is what it'll look like. And you can actually go in and sort in this as well by category. You'll see there's a category code in column F. And what you're able to do, the categories are actually broken down in the second tab, but you're actually able to get in here and take a look at all the different members. Right now we're sitting at just under 400. I have a couple more actually to pull off that are in process of retirement or have moved. So as I get those emails kicked back to me, I do edit this list. But this is a great resource to be able to go through and sort for specific partners that you might be looking for, and then be able to reach out to them as well. We're in the process of doing a mapping project where we'll be able to start to map these connections and start to show how the kind of the network works together across the state. So I'm really excited about that project. It's kind of pending some funding that could be coming forward from another partner. But if we're able to do that, then it'll be a really comprehensive mapping of essentially all of the members, as well as additional information to opportunities that you have, events that you're having, things like that. And then we'll be able to actually link back to your own sites and resources as well. So it'll be a really great tool. And so I'm hoping that as we do, and I'll reference the survey later on today, but as we do the survey and complete and collect some additional data for this mapping project, which will be added to this sheet as well, then we'll be able to really build out this comprehensive kind of networking map that people will be able, not only members, but also the public will be able to view and use to their benefit to really find partners and connect to events and opportunities that are going on in the state of Indiana around STEM. So that link is live. And when you get the email after the session, you'll be able to access that link. It was posted on our website. It was taken down for some reason. It will be back up, but for now, you'll also have this live link. So I'm pretty sure that I know everyone in the room, but if not, I'm Amanda McCammon. I am the STEM Synergy coordinator for Keep Indiana Learning. I also serve as the Indiana STEM ecosystem lead and have for several years. My history is 17-ish years in the state of Indiana as an educator at all levels. I was a classroom teacher, a pre-engineering teacher, and then I went on to be a CT director, an assistant superintendent, and then I was the State Department of Education under Dr. McCormick for 2 years as the Chief of Workforce and STEM Alliances. And that's when the state STEM strategic plan was being developed with my team. Then I left there and started my own consulting firm. I've been doing that for about 3.5 years, well, almost 4 years. And part of that work that I do is servicing STEM Synergy and Keep Indiana Learning with Central Indiana Educational Service Center. So that is where this body of work lies. I know in the last session in September, we kind of talked a little bit more about the history and such. So if you missed that session, I can definitely send you the link to that recording and to the slides if you want to learn a little bit more about the history. So we're just going to go down the list here. And if you would introduce yourself, talk about what organization, what your role is in STEM within that organization, then that would be wonderful. And we are going to start with Bethany.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bethany Thomas, and I'm the Vice President of Education Engagement here at the Indiana State Museum and Historic Sites. So we do a lot of STEM in all aspects of our programming, from pre-K all the way through adults and families. And we're all in the middle of Celebration Crossing that just opened up, so our holiday experience. But we have things like engineering snowflakes and building animal habitats. So even STEM is integrated in our holiday programming and experiences we do here. But we do STEM in a little bit of everything that we do. And even throughout the site. So if you're not familiar with our 11 sites across the state, always feel free. I can share that information, but glad to be here today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Bethany. Bill Bailey.
Hi, my name is Bill Bailey, and I'm the Director of Outreach for the College of Science at Purdue University. I've also was a former classroom teacher, taught middle school and high school science for 11 years, and then have been now at Purdue for almost 20 years. And we basically, in a nutshell, we do professional development for teachers. We do some kid program stuff, but not a tremendous amount. And our main is to try to bring the resources that Purdue has to classrooms. And we work a lot with faculty as well to help them with broader impacts parts of their grants. And then we work with schools and school corporations to help implement those activities. So we're all over the board. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Bill. How about the other Bill, Bill Walker, also from Purdue?
Yeah, so hi, everybody. I'm from the Center for Advancing the Teaching and Learning of STEM, which is in the College of Education at Purdue. And we do professional development, a little bit similar to what Bill Bailey just described. We also do curriculum development. And we have a program for teachers to get a certificate, a graduate certificate in for STEM education as well.
That's great. Thanks, Bill. Shevin?
Hello, everybody. My name is Jevin Stone, and I am the training supports specialist out of the Northern Indiana Educational Service Center. I work with CEL to help STEM instructional coaches and literacy instructional coaches be great as they work with their teachers in the building. My focus with my STEM coaches is providing assistance to them in the way of curriculum and activities and resources that they need in order to run their maker spaces, et cetera. And I am always looking for people to help me help them be great at what they do.
Thanks, Shevin. Okay, I think Chris, you're next.
Yeah, I'm Chris Osborne. I'm the Vice President of Programs for First Indiana Robotics. We're K-12 STEM mentoring program. And we believe that all kids should be able to choose their careers regardless of their zip code or life circumstance. And we do that by providing mentoring programs and then with mentors, kids at a variety of age levels are building robots and also solving problems in their community through a set of core values that we utilize in FIRST, our guiding core ethos of gracious professionalism, ultimately trying to prepare young people for what comes next.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Clarice?
Hi, everyone. My name is Clarice Patterson. I'm with the Ripley County Community Foundation in Southeastern Indiana, and I'm the director of an initiative there called Genesis Pathways to Success. And ultimately, what we provide for our schools is that we help to bring our private, public, and vocational schools together to apply for funding and to get resources. And so with that, we also help to provide professional development opportunities for our teachers to enhance their classroom and their classroom curriculum. And then furthermore, we work with the students to provide a series of summer camps focused around STREAM. So we take that acronym STEM or STEAM and we expand it to include reading. So we've put on a series of summer camps for the past couple of years now, and it is just expanding and blowing up. And so all of our kids down here love it. So
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Clarice. Dr. Smith?
I'm Laura Smith, and I work with both Region 8 and now Central Indiana, providing professional development for teachers, trying to make it very affordable. Right now, we offer several free professional development courses that they can work at their own pace on through a Canvas setting. My background is in both science and engineering, and so teaching STEM is pretty natural. And so I look forward to helping teachers feel confident teaching STEM in their classroom.
Thanks so much, Laura. Dr. Gisa?
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to say this group is amazing. I love hearing about all the interesting and exciting work that you're doing in relation to STEM. I am an associate clinical professor at Ball State University. My background is in art education, but I work in educational leadership now. And I've always been interested in integrative STEM or STEAM practices. So a few of my colleagues and I have created a book called Leadership and Integrative STEM Education. We also have a graduate level course focused on leadership and integrative STEM. And we really focus on the principal or superintendent or teacher leader development in driving integrative STEM or STEAM or STREAM approaches in PK-12 schools.
Great, thanks so much. And Tracy. Oh, Tracy may have had to.
Sorry,
Oh, there you are.
Here. Let me hang on.
There you are.
I got so excited to share and I just fell apart. Tracy Ballinger, I am the director of the Imagination Lab, which is a K-5 program for Plainfield schools just west of Indianapolis. We bring in every student in the district up K through 5 9 times a year for an hour and a half learning, hands-on learning. And we just kind of stripped away the acronyms and just call it hands-on learning. And so definitely a STEM, STEAM focus to that. But for that 90 minutes, it's a teacher-led activity. So teachers are getting professional development on the job as we learn together. We call everybody who comes in learners, including our adults. They're our lead learners. We have a pretty strong volunteer program. We're at over 170 different individuals who come in during the course of our activities to help volunteer with students. I'm excited to learn more about what else is going on in the state. I developed the curriculum myself. I do have a master's from Purdue in curriculum and instruction, so shout out to Purdue. And thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tracy. All right, so let's just move along into our agenda here. So I have a couple slides worth of updates. First of all, I just want to remind everyone that you can subscribe to the bi-monthly newsletters for STEM Synergy. We do have a limited amount of space, but we do have an opportunity to share out not only what we have going on, but also what you all have going on. If it doesn't fit within the newsletter, then I'm happy to share via social media as well. So feel free to send me that information anytime you'd like to. I will start sending out reminders to this group, or to the larger membership group, when I have about a week's worth of time for you guys to submit your information to me before I have to send it over to the people at Keep It in Learning so they can work their magic prior to getting it out and published. We do those every other month. We just did one in November. Goes out, it's published the second Wednesday of the specific month. So we'll have another one coming up in January. So I'll be sending out here in a couple of weeks a reminder for submission of anything that you would like to be considered to be put into that newsletter. We have a very large group of individuals that receive not only the entire membership, but also lots of other educators from across the state, and then also non-educators that receive that newsletter. So please share your events and opportunities with me so that I can try to get those in that newsletter. And then you can also make sure that you're subscribed, which there's a link provided in the slides that you can make sure you're subscribed to the STEM Synergy newsletter as well. I have a list here and a link to upcoming professional development for STEM Synergy specifically. CS Ed Week is coming up next week. Yes, next week. I can't believe that's going to be December 5th through the 9th, but that is. So December 7th, we are having 11 a.m. partnership with Tinker. It's called the Coding Cup. It's kind of like a soccer game that they code. It's going to be really cool. It's actually an international event where students and teams can compete against other teams internationally, and then also they can see how they rank nationally and within the state. So it's a really cool activity and open educational resource. They don't have to purchase anything with Tinker. So they will do that on the 7th. We'll be leading that at 11. And then on the 8th, I will actually be down at the State House doing some interviewing and some recording of the CS for Good event with Next Tech. That will not be streamed live, but I will be editing and providing kind of a storytelling opportunity from that event at a later date. But that is going to be happening on the 8th. So if you're available to come down to the State House, again, it's open, so you can come in and take a look at what's going on with that event. It's a really great event. Also, there'll be a lot of social media events shared by Keep It in Learning and the digital learning coaches across the state of Indiana. I don't have specifics on that, but it will be on social media. So if you're watching or follow the social media accounts with Twitter and Facebook and YouTube from Keep It in Learning, you'll see those pop up in your social media feeds that you'll be able to access a variety of different events that those digital learning coaches are going to be sharing throughout the week, mainly focused around resources for STEM and computer science specifically. Then December 19th, I will be doing a professional development live session around what I'm just calling the science tools rollout. We took, and this actually came out of a conversation with the ESCs of I, the Educational Service Centers across the state of Indiana, through the STEM Educator Network group that I participate in. We were talking about the science textbook caravans that are coming up starting in January. And they run for a couple of months. And the fact that with the new science standards that our educators really needed to have an easy to use tool or tools that they could use during those caravans to make some decisions around instructional resources and materials as it aligned to the new Indiana science standards. We all know that they're very, very close. There are a few little bits that are tweaked from NGSS, and NGSS actually has some really great tools to do this thing, but they're huge and they're just too big of a lift for our educators, especially in that kind of caravan environment. And so we decided that we needed to develop something from modeling from the NGSS tools, but making it more user friendly and more of a quick reference guide for them to use. So those tools will roll out in December, and I will have that professional development session rolling those tools out on December 19th. And it'll be two one-pagers, a quick reference guide, and then guiding questions to dive deeper when a provider or a vendor makes a claim around being NGSS aligned and some of the terminology that they use, and then questions to ask to really dive deeper into what exactly that means if they're saying they're aligned to something. Should be a great tool. Again, it'll be aligned to what NGSS already offers, but a very, very user-friendly, easy-to-use document with some additional resources and links where they can dive deeper into additional tools and some support opportunities. Also, we have a reboot of the existing STEM needs assessment, which is currently on our website. That will be tied to some additional resources, specifically an action plan development tool that will tie to how schools essentially score themselves on that need assessment, and then it'll provide them a kind of a pre-created form for an action plan that they'll be able to use to take their next steps. Additionally, that STEM Educator Network that I mentioned with the ESCs of I, we developed a STEM journey survey. That is already out there and published, and schools can access that. And it's really a way for us to gather input from our schools about what they need for professional development around STEM. It's very comprehensive and aligned to all of the statewide STEM priorities and expectations as it relates to like STEM school certification domains. And will really give us a good idea and understanding of where the needs are. And then also schools will get kind of an in-depth look into the priorities and how it aligns to what they are doing and where their gaps are. And then lastly, my last update is the save the date would be for 2 events. The first one would be for the STEM Summit. We're really excited about, for the first time ever, being able to offer a STEM Summit June 21st in partnership with the Indianapolis Children's Museum. We're actually going to have it on site in person, and it's going to be kind of an unsummit or an unconference where it's not going to be a sit and get. It's going to be really about having educators come in and get their hands dirty, hands-on, minds-on learning, heavy on the science standard development, heavy on cross-cutting concepts, and really understanding how to use those 3Ds. But they're also going to have some other STEM components as well. We're working on getting the registration up on the website now, so be watching for that. Additional details will be coming soon. I think we're going to push out a save the date sooner than later on the website, and then a registration will be coming soon after that. So be watching for that. We're also going to be looking for partners from this group to engage in lots of different ways. So more information to come, but definitely mark your calendar for June 21st. We will be having a meeting there for the Indiana STEM Ecosystem and STEM Synergy Expert Network on site during that summit, and give lots of opportunities for our members to engage with educators from across the state on that one-day event. More information to come, but super excited about it. And then lastly, we're also going to do a second round of the STEM certification bootcamp, and we will be launching that in February. We did the last session last year with several schools, great success on actually getting them through to certification or closer to certification. So we had lots of really positive feedback, and we will launch that in February. It will be a 5-part series that will carry them into actually applying in October of this next school year. So what we're going to do at this time is we are going to move into our breakout times. And what I want to focus on during this breakout, since we only have 10 people, we're just going to share in conversation together. We're not going to actually go into a room. But what we're going to do is focus in on your sharing of any 2022 STEM related highlights of events and opportunities that you provided within your organization in whatever way. And then also looking ahead to 2023 for some of your plans. What do you have on the horizon that you are super excited to share, and have some conversation around those things? But we want to focus those on a little bit deeper on how you did provide or how you will provide support around these specific priorities. So I want you to think about your highlights from 2022 and your plans for 2023 around STEM pedagogy and research-based best practices, developing your STEM leaders and educators across the state, and then also increasing access to STEM opportunities. Those are the 3 hot items or priorities from the State Department of Education. And so we always kind of come back to that and trying to think through, as a state agency, and them identifying those 3 priority areas, how are what we are doing, how does it align to and help drive that work forward in those 3 areas? So I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to think about that, and then we will open up the conversation here in just a couple of minutes to begin talking about that. This is going to be my transition period where I'm going to shut my video off. I'm going to keep recording, be thinking about that, add any questions that you have into the chat, and then we're going to come back here in about 2 minutes to start sharing about our highlights from 2022 and our plans for 2023 as it relates to these 3 key items. All right. So what I'd like to do is start to have conversation around this these highlights and these plans for highlights from 2022 and plans for 2023. Again, focused around pedagogy, research-based best practices, developing our leaders and educators around STEM, and then increasing access to all STEM related items. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to share regarding highlights from 2022 or plans for 2023 as it relates to these items? If you do, feel free to unmute yourself. And if you'd like to turn your video on, that's great. If not, that's okay too.
I guess I'll go. In case you didn't know what the Indiana STEM cadre is, the STEM cadre is an opportunity for schools 4th through 8th grade to work on embedding STEM resources and STEM pedagogy into the schools, into all 4 content areas. And so this year we started in September, and this year we are just focusing mainly on getting the teachers to a place where they understand that just because you teach English doesn't mean that you're not doing STEM. And just because you're teaching social studies, you're not doing STEM. You are doing STEM. And so the three coaches that I'm working with spend a lot of their time looking for resources and that help to get the non-STEM teachers on board with, this is what we do, and this is how it's done, and this is how it will work in your classroom, and this is what your students will get from this. Because it's not just about learning about science and technology and engineering and math, it's also about using the skills that you have and that you normally would use in English and social studies, for instance, in STEM, and vice versa. So a lot of what I have been doing is just trying to find ways to help them get their teachers on board and get their teachers to begin looking at their lessons and their lesson plans in a different way. Okay, I'm done.
That's great, Shevin. Thanks for sharing that. I'm not sure if, I think that's great because I'm not sure that everyone is familiar with what's going on with the STEM cadre and how that came to be. So just a little bit of additional background on that for those of you that may not know. So the STEM cadre is something that was established by the Department of Education and schools. There were some schools that applied to participate, and then there were other schools that were kind of tapped for engagement and participation. And then they received there were funds tied to this, and then there was heavy support from CEL, as well as some other entities as well. So University of Indianapolis, CEL, and really kind of leading the way there. And then of the educational service centers, they have individuals like Shevin that are in place. And I call you a TSS. Tell me what that stands for, Shevin, again. Technical support specialist.
Yes, training support specialist. Basically what we're doing is we're training the coach. We're the coach's coach. And anything they need assistance with, we help with getting PD together. We help with doing PD for them and finding PD for them and helping them to put together PD for their teachers and just anything that they need in order to be successful in their coaching work.
Great. And so we have TSSs at various locations housed within ESCs across the state of Indiana that are supporting in this way, similar to what Shevin's doing there in her area. So there's groups of schools that they're working with. And then actually on a call earlier today with the Department of Ed, Jake Kressel from the Department of Ed shared that they are currently looking for schools that want to engage in that second cohort. Is that right, Shevin? Yeah. So if you are a school or know a school that you may want to nudge a little bit to apply, I believe DOE has an application out there, and if anyone has access to that link to that, then feel free to drop that into the chat as well. But definitely check that out and communicate that with your schools, because it's a great opportunity to get some very direct support around STEM. Thanks for that, Shevin. Who else? We've got a lot of great things going on. So this is your opportunity to really talk about what has gone well in 2022 that you want to brag about, and then what you have coming up.
I'll jump in here. So when COVID hit, I'm sure a lot of you had the same thing. We used to do in-person professional development, and then we switched, and now we're switching back to in-person. The great thing was when we did the virtual stuff, we went from doing workshops for 40 to 50 teachers to doing it for hundreds of teachers. And now we're back to doing it for smaller numbers, in person, but we are going to continue. So we're going to try to do a couple different things with this. We're going to still run our in-person one, but do a virtual one as well. And so we're going to try it at the same time. And then we're also going to offer one later that's just virtual again, and to see kind of how that looks and how the teachers like it or they don't like it. I have the feeling if we stop doing any type of virtual something, we're going to have a lot of people mad at us from all over the United States who all of a sudden found out that they could join us and learn a lot about what we have to offer. We've been pushing hard in the middle school but we're also now and Bill Walker's on here too. And we used to do a lot with elementary back when Bill worked with us too. And we're kind of going back that route again. We're going to start working with elementary again. But we have been, like I said, focused mostly on middle school. We also now have, which is kind of cool, we have our own place in one of the labs on Purdue's campus that's permanently ours. And so we can do professional development kids programs whenever we want. We don't have to schedule space. So that becomes a huge plus in what we're doing, which then allows us to invite schools to come in from a distance. And we've been very blessed. We have alumni who have given quite a bit of money to allow us to do this, to bring schools in. So if anybody out there knows of schools that are looking for a field trip to Purdue University, we do labs with them, for them, and in our lab, and they get a visit to Purdue and get to see. And if we have faculty that are doing something in that area of research, depending on the topic that the teachers pick, then we have the faculty come and talk to the kids about what's going on in the world of research that they're in. The other thing that's been a big hit is our Superheroes of Science. And if you haven't seen our Superheroes of Science, I highly recommend you get onto YouTube and check out our Superheroes of Science. It is a wide range of opportunities for teachers with resources. One of the things that has been a big hit has been the Ask the Experts. And these are podcasts along with also YouTube videos of asking experts what they do in their field, everything about what goes on, kind of how they got there too. And then with that, we also, what are some fields of, if a kid is interested in this area, are there jobs available? What kind of jobs would a kid have if they went in? So this whole idea of the careers and that aspect as well. And then the one other thing, and we have a bunch of other things, but the other thing I'm going to push right now is we've been having fun with TikTok. And I know it's not always this and that, but we've actually have we've been doing science demos, and we've been doing the demos for the teachers. They've asked us to do demonstrations that they can't necessarily do in their classroom, or ones that they don't understand. And then so we do a demo, but then we have a separate video that explains the demo, so the teacher can actually go in and learn about the demo themselves, and they can then end up being the expert if they want to be. But then we've had these demos out on YouTube, but also now we've been using them on TikTok, and we have a couple of them that have one I think is now has 14 million views, and another has like 12 million views. And these are just really neat science demonstrations that teachers can share with the kids. And so it's kind of created a little bit of a buzz, which then is nice. It brings them back to our website, which then we can hook them into the real stuff that we want them to see and do. So.
That's great. Bill, I would love a link to what you were just mentioning, the science kind of demos. If there's a link directly to those.
Yep, I'll put it in the chat.
Perfect.
Also,
yeah.
I added the link to the Indiana STEM Cadre information to their website in the chat.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, definitely use that chat to drop in things that you want to share or that you have coming up. If you have a registration link or if you have a link to resources like that, definitely go ahead and drop that in the chat. People will be able to access that as they're viewing this as a recorded session as well. And then I'll be able to pull some of those resources from there too and tweet them out and share about them as well. Okay, who else has something? What did you do that you want to highlight from 2022 or that's up and coming in 2023?
I'll go. I'll talk a little bit about the museum. So obviously after with COVID and everything, we also have a lot of videos available under our education resources page called Discover that all tie to state standards and our exhibits. So, and it's not just science and STEM, but it's history and language arts and math. And again, combining cross-curricular there too. So everywhere from K and to 12th grade. So there's various videos available and lots of resources on there. We had a successful year with our Major Taylor exhibit, which had about bikes, bike mechanics, bike physics in there. We had our cardboard engineering exhibit this past year as well. So lots of exhibits that deal with STEM, and that's something that we continue to incorporate as we develop our temporary exhibits here at the State Museum. So look forward for some of those coming in the next couple years as well. One of the things we do, again, because we have an entire web section for educators on those free resources, but we provide educator guides for some of those exhibits, partnerships. So when we have those exhibits, who can we partner with, whether that's for programming or additional resources. So listening to some of those things, Bill, on like, oh, there might be some great ways to connect and link to, again, just be another avenue for educators to access those resources that are available that could tie into some of our exhibits, both past and current and future exhibits as well. So again, we're integrating STEM in just about everything we do, even though we're talking about art, history, and science. We do a lot of that STEM and cross-curricular as well. Something we're looking forward to is through the museum world, we're able to partner with various organizations and other museums to bring STEM to students. And next year, we're a part of the National Science in the Summer program that's in collaboration with the Franklin Institute and the National Girls Collaborative Project. And so we'll be doing some train the trainer programming with curriculum that comes out of that program with some of our out of school time partners, and looking for how we can expand that at least in that central Indiana area here in Indy and the surrounding counties too. So we get some of those opportunities that come through the museum world that we can, again, spread STEM throughout our connections and students and educators throughout Indiana as well. Like I said, our sites are continuing to add more STEM programming, even though they're historical sites and arts locations and our Angel Mounds, but they're continuing to grow their STEM connections as well. But we're always looking again for partnerships and programming, or how we can collaborate, how maybe the museum could be a great place to showcase some things, have a meeting, all those kinds of things. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me if there's opportunities that we can get involved and help support what you're doing. But again, collaborate so we can provide resources to educators and students throughout Indiana too.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for that. And I think just as a reminder too, anytime you guys have a live event that you would like to get some additional exposure for, not just sharing prior to for like your registration or getting the information out there, I can definitely help with that. But even if there's an event that you want to somehow like live stream through Keep It in a Learning, we are open to that. We just have to figure out on the back end, like the best way to do it to make sure that, for connectivity and sound and things like that. But outside of that, we are happy to partner to do some of that. So we have a really great team at Keep It in Learning to help support that, and would love to, be able to lean in a little bit to provide additional access to the things that you guys are offering so that it reaches more educators across the state of Indiana. So definitely open to those conversations, and even if it's kind of a I want to say relatively last minute, just enough time for us to kind of plan what that looks like from a back end perspective of making sure that it goes live, and like I said, we have the sound and everything in place. Even if we've not been involved in like the planning and development of it, still happy to share that out and get that event or opportunity out there and live streamed, even outside of just like a registration link and so on and so forth, but actually helping to support the live event of getting it out in front of more educators, just as another idea. And actually something that you said sparked an idea for something that I think we should consider moving forward in 2023. So I know I mentioned earlier the STEM Summit, June 21st, that we're planning with the Indianapolis Children's Museum. And as you were talking about all of your sites, I thought, you know what, how cool would it be to take that STEM Summit and partner with some of our other members of this group to maybe have, like, for example, some of your historical sites. What if we had an opportunity where they were engaging in the STEM Summit in a way that they could engage at their site, whatever the site was, whether it was, maybe there's something at, at your historical sites, maybe there's something at Purdue that they could go and engage in some activity. So if there maybe a teacher is located in the West Lafayette area, then they could engage in something on that same day. If they couldn't make it to the Children's Museum, they could still engage in the STEM Summit in some way with a partner organization, doing similar things out at their own site. So it just kind of gave me a little idea to have that kind of conversation of how do we expand from Central Indiana. Of course, we're super excited to have the partner in the Indianapolis Children's Museum, but how can we reach more educators that may struggle with getting, to Indianapolis, to provide some opportunities, and then still have some of that connectivity with other educators by, we could do a large group kickoff keynote opening session, and then kind of pull them back together in some way too. So I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, but that's something that you said kind of sparked that idea of how could we reach some additional educators through that summit, through partnerships that we have through this membership. So thanks for that.
I'll jump in real quick. Chris Osborne first, Indiana Robotics. So our couple things out of 2022, like the rest of you, we were also coming out of COVID and having to learn what the word pivot means. We did a lot of that for a couple of years, providing some at-home challenges for our high school teams, and then a lot of remote opportunities for our elementary and middle school programs, which then led us to learn quite a bit about how we continue to deliver what we do. We're still kind of taking some of those lessons out of that. One of the exciting things we were able to do this past spring, though, for our high school state championship at Rose-Hulman, we televised it. And so, one of our core mission is to encourage young people to want to be leaders in STEM. And we talk about changing the culture all the time, and how teams, we have a lot of awards for our teams that allow them to go out and figure out how they change the culture in their own schools and communities. For example, some of our teams several years ago started getting varsity letters for robotics, right? So slowly but surely changing the culture within their building. So we televised our state championship. We used the broadcast company that actually broadcasts all the IHSAA athletic state championships. And we brought in their main play-by-play announcer. It was great. We had him actually come to one of our events prior so he could really understand the flow of robotics, because as a former high school athletic coach myself, I can tell you it's quite a bit different, but it was really exciting. We had a lot of fantastic feedback. In fact, during the event, during the broadcast, at one point got a message from our headquarters in Manchester, New Hampshire, saying, "Who's doing your broadcast? It's amazing." Because they will watch in on different live streams of the events. So that was really fantastic, and it raised the bar for us. And again, for us, it made the students feel like what they were doing is something to honestly be celebrated, and it should be. Building 4-foot tall, 125-pound robots that compete 3 against 3 on a basketball court-sized field. Just in my mind, getting a robot there that can turn on and roll forward a few feet, in my mind, is amazing. But the things that these kids can make these things do. So, but then also the fact that they, in an avenue like utilizing television to show that we also recognize all the other efforts that these students are putting in terms of solving problems in their community, that we understand that that's what STEM really is that it's problem solving. And so we were excited about that. And going into this coming year, we're going to continue with that effort of broadcasting those pieces, but also looking at bringing some additional training and professional development for our coaches throughout the state of Indiana, and for schools and community groups that are also interested in potentially expanding our programs. So we're excited about that. First has worked with Lego Education. We have a long time strategic alliance with Lego Education, and they have actually developed a curriculum utilizing the various levels of the Lego robotics at different grade levels. And so that's another offering that we're really excited to be able to offer schools or community groups. We work a lot with Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, et cetera, to purchase those. It does not have to be a school that purchases what's called a class pack. A summer camp could purchase that, et cetera. So a lot of exciting motion moving into 2023. And I really like the focus on this piece, Amanda. This is something that we've been asking ourselves for the last few years. So.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I love FIRST Robotics. I was a FIRST Robotics coach when I was in the classroom. So I had a Lego robotics team, middle school teams that competed, and it's awesome. We didn't have quite as much in terms of the curriculum and such that you're talking about now, it's great that you guys are offering that now. But yeah, FIRST Robotics is awesome. It's a lot of fun. I know I actually still have a Lego kit and a block that I gave my own kiddos at one point several years ago as a Christmas gift. So, and we still have it. So it's a lot of fun. So thanks for those updates, Chris. All right. Anybody else? We're sitting at about 4:23.
Yeah,
and if you don't want to share out verbally. Yeah, great, Laura. Thanks.
Checked right in with, ties in with what Chris was saying. We were able to offer some online education for 20 different districts where we gave them classroom sets of the Edison robot as well as the microbits. And they went through a Canvas course at their own pace and developed lesson plans using those. And it was a lot of elementary teachers who are trying to integrate STEM into their classroom. And of course, it'll lead students right into the Lego League as they get into upper grades. But we were glad to be able to offer that for free. And we're looking to try to do another summer setting like that this coming year.
That's great, Laura. Make sure you share those resources with me when you're ready, and I can help to push out information and help you recruit, educators that may want to apply to engage in that opportunity. Well, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, Bill Walker, you're still on here. I'm going to plug it if you're not going to the January Purdue STEM.
I'm working on it right now. So I just put the link, a link for registration, and if you give me 30 more seconds, I'll put the information link into the Indiana STEM Education Conference, and it takes place on Purdue's campus, is on January 12th. And just to note, we have a reduced rate registration until December 20th, and then after December 20th, the rate goes up. It's like $90, then $110 or something like that. So the registration's in there, and then I'll put the information link in as well. So thank you, Amanda.
Absolutely. And I know we'll be there, STEM Synergy will be there, and I think a few other representatives from CIESC as well, presenting, and then also in the exhibitor hall, handing out swag and having conversation with educators. We were there last year. I've been actually every year for several years in some capacity when I was at the Department of Ed, and then also since I left the Department of Ed. And it's always a great event, always well attended, lots of great feedback from the teachers, especially in the sessions where they can get their hands dirty and really get in there and do some project development stuff as well. So always a great opportunity for educators to engage and also just to meet some additional STEM educators and share in some commonalities. So great event. I know I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and just a little more information. So I think because COVID has calmed down, like the number of people who have registered is way, like it's not above where it was last year, but if you look at like the slopes of the lines, our registration's coming in much higher than it was the last few years, even before COVID. And in addition, we just have really outstanding presentation, a very full slate of presentations and some research and a whole lot of really great things. The participation has been excellent as far as registration and interest so far this year.
Bill and Amanda, I have a question for you, both related to the STEM Education Conference and then the STEM Summit. Are those primarily designed for STEM educators, or are they also designed for community partners who are STEM oriented? I guess, would a community partner benefit from attending the conference or the summit?
Bill, would you like to reply first?
Yeah, the STEM education conference, it is teacher and school focused. I can't say that you wouldn't benefit from attending. I actually, if you want to send I'll put my email in the chat here in just a second. I think, as Amanda mentioned, as a sponsor and an exhibitor, I think our sponsors get a lot of benefit from networking during the event. And Chris, actually Chris Nodding, Chris is another one of our sponsors as well. And so I'll add you to the sponsor list for the future. But I would also encourage you just, come to the conference this year to kind of get a sense of what it's like and what our exhibit hall is like, so you could see if that would fit you really well or not. But the exhibit hall seems to be a good place. Where I turned away over 10 sponsors this year. It broke my heart, honestly. I couldn't believe that was happening, but I turned away a lot of sponsors because I think it's a good networking event for our sponsors, and I think you would benefit from that.
So by exhibit, do you mean that there's an opportunity to interact with other companies that have STEM products or supplies?
It's interactive. There's other companies that have STEM products, but there's also 450 teachers, administrators, and higher education people who want to learn more about what you're doing.
Got it. Thank you.
I'll give that conference a big thumbs up. We attend several throughout the year, and over the last few years, we've really tried to take a very close look at the return on our investment for those. And this particular conference is one that we won't miss.
And I can speak to it from your question as it relates to the summer STEM summit that we're planning at the Indianapolis Children's Museum. So even though we're really going to market it to educators, K-12, mainly because of the new science standards and then the new computer science standards, trying to really provide them with that opportunity to engage in that way. And it's still under development, our planning and such is still under development, but definitely a community organization, especially if that community organization is providing any kind of, frontline support or programs, if they're providing programs even to students in any way, whether it's a summer camp or, a break camp or anything, curriculum, content, even someone like First Robotics with Chris, being able to engage, not even from a vendor perspective, but as someone that develops curriculum, someone that also needs to be able to deep dive into the science standards, deep dive into the computer science standards, and really, from a informal educator standpoint. So that's kind of how I look at it from those community partners engaging in the Summer STEM Summit, is that I think you could engage and benefit from it, particularly if you are either providing additional professional development and support and resources to educators, or if you are providing that kind of frontline support to students in some capacity, because then whoever in your organization that is doing that or developing curriculum is going to be that much more prepared in, for example, understanding the 3Ds of the science standards, right? And understanding how to teach through phenomena and things like that. So I think that you could benefit in that way. I don't yet know all the details for the summer summit. I don't yet know all the details in terms of, what the overall cost is going to be. How are we going to engage vendors? How are we going to engage sponsors? Those are all details yet to be worked out. I do know we are attempting to make it very low cost for our educators, and for our participants, we will probably have levels dependent upon sponsorships and things like that as well. But those are all kind of TBD, but there'll definitely be a place for community partners to engage, particularly if they are providing those boots on the ground resources and support to educators or students.
Yes, that's what our organization does, is that we help to provide various STEM or STEAM or STREAM programming for kiddos in our county, and that's our big focus recently, is providing these experiential learning opportunities for kids during the summertime, because as as a result of COVID, education got formed in the county, and the teachers, our local educators, wanted to find a way to help alleviate that gap. And so they have come up with this initiative called a Summer of Stream. And it's a whole series of various summer camps focused around different topics like cooking, robotics, kids building bikes, mobile aquatic exhibit. It's just a variety of different camps and activities that we offer to students, and we're expanding for the summer of 2023. And so we're always looking for ideas, network opportunities, learn more about different STEM products that are out there, and any supplies or equipment that our educators could benefit from during the summer camp or even during the school year, to enhance their classroom curriculum. So no, this is great. So thank you both for providing clarification on that.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely, we'll have more information, of course, in the coming months about the summit, but I do know that we are trying to think a little bit untraditionally about the event, especially using the space of the Children's Museum. You know, we're trying to be careful. We're not renting out the entire Children's Museum because it's a very large, you know, facility for us to do that. And we're trying to keep the cost low. But we are starting small. We're looking for trying to fill about 350 seats just for this first year, and then grow from there after this year. So we're not yet sure exactly how we're going to engage, you know, any like curriculum providers or vendors, so to speak. That's, like I said, TBD a little bit. So I'm not sure yet. There will be some engagement, but I don't know yet that, you know, what the parameters are going to be around, like who we, you know, provide that opportunity to, and what exactly that looks like. But it would be a great opportunity for you all to engage or to learn more about, you know, how do you take, you know, the computer science standards or the science standards, for example, and how do you do some hands-on activities that you wouldn't have to be physically present in the, you know, museum to do, but what does that look like to use cross-cutting concepts? What does it look like to use engineering practices, to get some ideas and to kind of practice it a little bit? We're also going to do a kind of large scale practice of inquiry-based learning for all the participants as they kind of go through their day. So there'll be opportunity for your kind of non-traditional informal educators, so to speak, like in a community program, that can learn how to do it. Like what does this look like and feel like to teach in this way, and then take those ideas and concepts kind of back with them as they start to develop some programming for their, you know, for their students. So I think it would definitely be beneficial.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to add one more thing, Clarice. We don't have this out yet, so it's not something I'm pushing, but we've come across quite a bit of science equipment. Purdue did some restructuring and some movement around, and we're going to start sending out kits pretty far away from Purdue. We're going to ship them, and then they'll ship back. When you were talking, this won't be used a lot in the summer. So that may be something you might want to look into later, that you might be able to use these in the summer, because you were talking about science equipment, and a lot of these are data collection devices and stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever seen veneer, but we have a ton of veneer equipment that we'll ship out, and people can use it for a certain amount of time, and then they'll ship it back. So I'll send you my email so you have it.
Yeah, that'd be fabulous, Bill. Thank you very much.
That's great. Anyone else want to share about things from 2022, things moving into 2023, or anything else just for the good of the group before we move on?
Just real quick, I'll say that Plainfield, through the Imagination Lab, started summer camps. And last year was the third year for the summer camps. And we had 800 students attend at least one camp. They're one-day camps. They come for the full day of camp and really dig deep into a topic just for that day, kind of take ownership of the place, eat lunch here. And I'm really excited to hear about the different summer programming that's out there and really start together some ideas. So thank you. And sorry, we're doing at least the same and hopefully expanding this coming summer as well for our students.
Great. All right. So if anyone else has anything, just feel free to chime in here. I'm going to go ahead and move on, but feel free to stop me. Um, and just as a reminder, as we move forward, please make sure that you are sharing your registration links, your information. If you want to jump on a call and kind of, brainstorm and have a thought partner around how maybe we can, share the event or, live when it's actually happening in some way through STEM Synergy and Keeping in Learning. Always happy to have those conversations as we move forward, or just through our conversation. If you have an idea about a collaboration, always happy to have a call and talk through that. So moving along on our agenda, the next steps to wrap up would be the membership form. I know I mentioned this earlier, and this was shared last meeting in September. If you already completed it, you don't have to complete it again. But this is really where we're going to start to get some additional information for that mapping project as well. The mapping project is to tell a little bit more about it. If I don't know if anyone has ever seen Kumu, and if you don't, you can Google it. It's KUMU, and it is a really great comprehensive way that a lot of our STEM ecosystems across the nation are leveraging this tool. Other organizations. There's actually an organization out of Marion County that is tied to workforce development that uses it pretty comprehensively as well to connect and show interactions and ties among organizations and agencies around a body of work. And so that's what we're looking at trying to do. And if you Google it, you'll get like a little snapshot of what Kumu can do. But it's more than just a map. It's really about, let's just think even through just the group that's on here today. So if you take 10 organizations and all the STEM related resources, support, events, activities, opportunities that they offer, and all of those that they've connected with in order to offer what they offer, you're able to start to draw those connections and draw literally on a map those linkages. And then within the system, you're actually able to filter and sort and make selections around things that you're looking for to make additional connections. And so it's really a great networking tool. And that's really the kind of long-term intent of collecting information from our members is through this membership form is, so that we can have some data to start that process with once we have access to that tool. So definitely complete that form and refer a friend. If you know someone else or another organization that's not involved and engaged in this group, connect them, send them that link, and then they will get added to the list of members, and then they will start getting these meeting invitations as well, so that they can jump on these calls and check out the YouTube video of the recorded session afterwards if they're not able to attend, so that they can get involved in this group and start collaborating and sharing what's going on across the state and all of our organizations and all the great events that we're planning across the state for STEM. Because again, this is just really about, none of us are trying to compete with one another. We're all trying to be collaborative in nature and share our resources and share our opportunities so that our educators, both formal and informal educators across the state in whatever capacity, can get what they need and have what they need wherever they are across the state. So definitely refer people and fill out that membership form. Secondly, I still have the Jamboard from the last meeting live. This is a great place if you have something that you want, like if you have a graphic or something from Canva that you've created, or an image that has your information about your event and like a little PR, little marketing piece, you can grab that and stick that on this message board, and I can grab from that. Or if you even want to just put on the Jamboard just information about something, it's just another avenue. If you choose not to email me about it, you can stick that on the message board. And then that's another way that I can grab information and share it out over social media or via the newsletter. If you do that, I typically do see it, but if you want to, send me a text or send me an email and say, hey, I sent something on the Jamboard, can you tweet that out, or can you, share it with the membership, or you all have access now to the link or to the list of members. So you can even go in there and share that information out as you see fit with members of the group as well. So definitely post things on that message board as you see fit. And then something that we'll be working towards in the future is the focus items. So last meeting, I talked about the areas of our focus within this group in terms of the STEM Synergy Expert Network, really having kind of areas that we're focusing in on and honing in on to provide support around to the field. And so those 3 areas were around ecosystem regional development and supporting the regional development of an ecosystem. So those collaborators within a specific region of the state having conversation around STEM. So just like we have this large, almost 400 member ecosystem, breaking it down into more of a regional focus group that we can help provide some additional development support and connections. That's one of our areas of focus. The second is STEM school certification, which we're continuing that from last year. And then also with the new science standards, of course, science standard implementation is another one of our areas of focus that we are honing in on this year. So what I'll be doing in the future, in the next meeting, will be really asking for members to select an area that they would like to dive into and have additional conversation around. It could be, you know, an area specific to the organization, obviously, that you work for and what your focus is and what your goals are for this next year for 2023. Maybe it aligns really well with ecosystem regional development in some way. And you feel like that would be a best fit for you to have conversation and work with that group and see how, you know, how you can help support that development. Or perhaps it's around STEM school certification and you want to provide some support around, you know, project-based learning, professional development, and so on. So perhaps you have some really great, you know, like Bill was talking about some of the really great science demos. There may be a great opportunity then for you know, for Bill to say, yeah, I'd love to jump on the focus group for science standard implementation because we already have all these great science resources. Let's pair up and partner and see how we can support that piece and that work. So there'll be some focus groups. So you don't have to, there will be a survey that I send out probably in the follow-up email with a link to the slides and the recording that will also ask for some additional feedback around the focus group selection. That's kind of TBD, but I may send it out in that email. If not, it will be coming with the next meeting, in the next meeting in January for individuals to kind of select the area that they'd like to focus on. And then lastly, just a couple of save the dates. January 31st is the date that we had selected already for our next meeting. It will be, I believe that is a Tuesday. And so that will be, again, trying to stick with the 3:30 hour just so that we are hitting kind of at the end of the day, hopefully catching some of the educators as they leave the classroom and are no longer with their students so that they can jump on the call. And I'll be seeking some feedback about times as well to see if we maybe need to make some shifts there. And then the second piece for Save the Date would be that STEM Summit. I know I mentioned that we will be having an on-site meeting, face-to-face meeting, which I know is something that membership has asked for, is to come back together face-to-face for convening. So we are going to do just that on the 21st at the Indianapolis Children's Museum during the STEM Summit. We will have a location there where we are able to, if you're a member of the ecosystem or the STEM Synergy Expert Network, that you'll be able to come in and we'll be able to have a face-to-face meeting there on site. So we're really looking forward to that. So make sure that you earmark that date as well. And that is all I have for you, my friends, today. And we are done about 15 minutes early. So I will stick around and see if there's anything else that anyone would like to share or have conversation around. Again, I'll share all the slides and the information that was shared within the slides, as well as the video recording. I believe it'll be a YouTube recording once it's published for you to share as needed, along with the links that were in the slides today and the slides themselves. So again, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to have conversation about any other potential collaborations in the future. And I will, again, stick around to see if there's any additional comments or questions or thoughts that you would like to have conversation around. So thank you so much for your time today and for being patient with me with my new technology that I'm figuring out. I'll get it. I just need a few more days. And also for coming along with me with my teenage driver to pick up one of my other daughters. So thank you for that. Flexibility is key.
That went well because you never did shake. You never got nervous.
I've had a few of those moments for sure.